consideration as well. We do everything we can to get them a loan, to get them through the disaster recovery period, to stay in the community, to stay employed within the community so the community doesn't shut down.
Okay.
Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, low interest rates, long terms, and you guys at Keller Williams are going to like the low interest rates, I'll tell you. And also, we also refinance some of the prior debts, which are the mortgages, to help them meet that repayment ability. If they have a high interest rate loan, we also can refinance as
Ooh, that's
well.
really nice. That is a big problem for
Yeah.
a lot of people, is those darn mortgages. Yeah.
Wait till you
Great.
see the rates that we're offering. Okay, next slide, please. And there they are. As of July 31st, the home rates are 1.1%. Businesses, 3%. Idles are the same. Economic injury disaster loans, 3%. And the nonprofits are 2.75%. The credit available elsewhere means that the SBA has determined through your own finances that you can recover on your own without taking a subsidized government loan. And most of our loans go at the low interest rate, so I won't even discuss that at all. The majority go at the low interest rates. But the 1.1% is great to take a mortgage, Maggie, you know, that was at 3.5%,
Yeah,
bring it down to 1.1%.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, and there's what I was talking about, refinancing of the existing debt for
Does that
substantially
also have a
damaged.
longer term, or do you refinance at the same 30-year rate that was the original mortgage?
Same 30-year rate.
Okay.
They'll start the whole loan over again.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then the liens are for home loans, as I mentioned, and business loans are also eligible to get refinanced as well. Federal loans are not eligible, so you can't bring your student loans in or any other kind of federal loan that you may have taken out.
Okay.
Next slide,
What about
please.
what about car loans? I mean, does that not?
Yeah, automobile loans at 1.1%.
Yeah.
And one of the good things also, Maggie, is that SBA also has a deferral period of 5 months. So folks can start the rebuilding of their home and business without having to worry about a loan payment right away. And if they need any longer, they can get up to a year deferral on these loans. Like, as you know, you mentioned that your husband had got an economic injury disaster loan. That was a 1-year deferral, as you probably are aware, for those for the COVID-19. So they can do that as well with these loans.
Does that hurt? Is this all gonna? Is the deferral gonna hurt your credit? Because I know mortgage deferrals hurt your credit.
No, I didn't know that, and I've never heard that, but no, it does not hurt your credit at all.
Good. All right.
And next slide, there we are. Collateral requirements. We don't deny loans if people do not have collateral, but if they do have collateral, we require them to pledge it. And the collateral requirements start, Maggie, at $25,000. And SBA, like I mentioned, will not decline a loan for lack of collateral, but requires collateral that is available. As you know, most renters, you know, if they get a $40,000 loan and they don't have a lot of collateral, they have, you know, some furniture in there, we're not going to really take that. We're just going to trust them that they're going to pay it back. So like I said, we bend over backwards for disaster applicants to get them back on the road to recovery.
Okay.
Next slide. Okay, and then it's real easy to apply online at the SBA Disaster Assistance Portal. Also there you can check your application status, and as I mentioned, the eligible disaster areas there. And next slide. And so that people have 60 days. So this started August 21st was when this was declared. So they have until October 21st. I've heard that they're probably going to extend the deadline because they've brought in additional counties, as you're well aware. They just brought in Santa Clara a couple days ago. Santa Clara County was just declared for this disaster as well. They've brought in Butte County also. So they have 60 days, but like I said, the October 21st deadline will probably be extended. We encourage people to apply right away. It's the quicker you can get in, the quicker we can approve the loan. Generally, Maggie, it's a 10 to 14 day turnaround time for home loans. For business loans, we recognize that it takes a little bit longer to get your financials together from your CPA. So we give them 9 months from the declaration date for the economic injury.
So I've got a
And
question
as I
about
mentioned,
the,
Yeah.
I guess a collateral question, because with a construction loan, if someone just gets a construction loan to build a house, the lender keeps track of that construction. They want to make sure the house is actually getting built. They check in to see where you are. It has to be built within a period of time, like 2 years. Is that the same here, or do you just hand them the cash and just do whatever you want with it?
that's the same here. It's just like a construction loan. Like I said, we give that first $25,000 and then they just provide receipts back to us. We have a loss verifier that monitors the building. We don't have a necessary set time that they have to have it rebuilt. Each case is different, but it's just like a construction loan. They spend the first $25,000 in repairing or replacing the disaster damaged property, send back receipts, and we'll make another disbursement.
So I know with permit process, it could take up to a year just to get the permits. So
Yeah.
it's good to know that
And
you're
we
flexible.
also, right, and we also, if there's code updates or code upgrades, SBA will take that into consideration as well and make loan approvals for that as well.
So if somebody has insurance and they haven't received any money and their adjuster hasn't told them when they're going to be paid, how would the SBA determine what has or will be paid by the insurance?
That we encourage everyone to apply as quickly as possible. Even if their insurance hasn't settled, we'll take insurance proceeds going down the road, Wendy. But we encourage them to apply, even if they haven't received any insurance. Apply, get your SBA disaster assistance loan and the money flowing to you, and then we'll take the insurance proceeds down the road, and they'll see that in the loan authorization agreement.
So when their insurance does pay out to them, they just use that to pay back a portion of what they got from the SBA?
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay.
correct.
And then we have
But
one
at
of
least
our...
they get the money up front.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's very helpful. And then one of our attendees has some questions about how this works with an HOA. She said, I live in a condo with an HOA. I have renter's insurance. Am I considered a homeowner or a renter? We own our condo, but technically the HOA owns the exterior walls and common areas. And then the second part of her question. Okay, well, so she's...
Yeah, that would be considered a homeowner. And we have a special group for homeowners associations. So they would apply as a homeowner from the walls in, and then the HOA would have to apply from the outside.
Okay, that was
for
the
that.
second
But yes, they're
question.
considered a homeowner.
That was the second question, was if there were any loans that the HOA is eligible for under the mitigation loan.
Yeah, well, they'd be eligible for an HOA loan, which they could apply for the HOA itself, and then they could also get mitigation measures as well once they're approved for the SBA loan.
Thank you.
Oh, great. So two people getting the loan, the HOA and the homeowner, or the condo
Right.
owner. Yeah, very cool.
Yes. And as I mentioned, Maggie, FEMA will extend the deadline. And if they do extend the deadline, Maggie, we will extend it as well with FEMA. As I mentioned, FEMA is like the umbrella of all the federal agencies. So if FEMA determines something, SBA will always follow along with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's a 3-step process how about the disaster assistance loans. This first step is you apply for the loan either online. They're not doing it in person anymore because it's a virtual environment. So the online is the way to go. And you probably are aware of that, Maggie, because that's what your husband did. Yeah. And the second step is the property is verified and the loan decision is made. That's where a loan officer will call you to determine your repayment ability, your credit worthiness. We already know you're in a eligible zone because that Santa Cruz County has been declared a disaster county. And like I said, our goal is to arrive within 2 to 3 weeks, 10 to 14 days. The quicker you get your application in, the quicker we can make that decision. And the third step is the loan is closed and the funds are dispersed. And as I mentioned, physical damage, $25,000 will disperse to you, and economic injury, the working capital, $25,000. And we assign a case manager to work with each loan approval so that this facilitates, and that's where the construction loan comes in, Maggie. You'll send your receipts back to the case manager. They'll go over that with the loss verifier and schedule your next disbursement to keep the rebuilding of the disaster damaged property going.
Mhm.
Next slide, please. One of the great things that SBA offers are our resource partners, and this is for basically for the business community. We have SBDCs, which are small business development centers. They're in most of the community colleges, especially around California, but also around the country. They're in the colleges and universities. Women's business centers, which aren't strictly for women. Other folks can go there as well. SCORE, which is the Service Corps of Retired Executives, and the Veterans Business Outreach Centers, which are for the vets that have come back.
And our,
They help you
ours-
stay in business.
I was about to say our
Go ahead.
SBDC is in Cabrillo College, if anyone's curious. It's a is a
Yeah, and I've been down to that one. That one's nice. And if they want to, Maggie, and you can have Wendy do this as well in the chat, if you go to sba.gov/local, that will give you all the resource partners in that area where you're at, and you can choose whichever one you want to go to. But that's how you find out who's in your area. You mentioned Cabrillo College. That's the one down in your area in Santa Cruz County.
Mhm.
One of the big things is disasters have a way of impacting business plans of small businesses. So we encourage you to go to the resource partners to figure out additional ways of getting revenue. If you do get the SBA disaster loan, it's a great way to talk to these folks who have had experience before and figure out how you're going to spend the money, what new services you can provide, what you need to do. You mentioned your husband had lost computers. This would be a good way to find out what different ways he can use the money for to get different computers, or what he can do. It's just a good way to talk with people, and all these counseling folks are all free of charge as well.
We didn't actually have the fire inside our house. We got super lucky all around us. So he didn't lose any computers, but I did sign up for that for the COVID loan for him. And the nice part about it is SBDC has a newsletter that they send out. So even if you're not going to go to get services from them for free for your business, you can still sign up for the SBDC newsletter. So every time new things come up regarding the fire loans or the COVID loans, they kind of keep you in the know. They have webinars there too that are very interesting, especially if you have a small business, and they're all free. So it's a good idea just to get on their newsletter list.
Thanks for the plug, Maggie. That's great news, and I'm sure that the business people on here will appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, it's, SCORE, like, these are retired executives who have a lot of business knowledge, and so that's great. Next slide, please. And here's how you can get in touch with us, 800-659-2955. As I mentioned earlier, and Wendy put on the screen, sba.gov/disaster will take you to a lot of our places on the website, and you can also get these numbers there. But just go there, and
All right.
you can go to the next slide again, Maggie.
Questions?
Yeah, and questions. Let me answer a few of the questions that Maggie sent to me, and then I'll take some more from from Wendy. As I mentioned, the homeowners up to $200,000. The property damage for business is $2 million. That's machinery, equipment, inventory, and real estate. The economic injury is for the working capital only. That means you didn't have any physical damage, but are suffering because of lost revenue because you're not getting any foot traffic in. And Maggie asked me this, and I've told her before, but let me emphasize it again, is that FEMA does not assist businesses. It's only the SBA that will help businesses in times of disaster. So we recommend that you do register with FEMA, Maggie, but it's not necessary. But if you do, and the reason is in case the state comes up with a grant program later on in the disaster or during the course of the recovery period, which takes 6 months to a year practically, they will have your name and the business address from FEMA. That's who they'll get it from, and they can then contact you if there's a grant program that has been set up. That's why we encourage businesses to register with FEMA, even though they're not required to.
So even if you work at home, even if it's like a craft business or woodworking business or something like that, and your home was destroyed, then normally it wouldn't be covered by FEMA, but it might, so register with them in case new grants come through.
Right. Well, yes, so your home would be, Maggie, but the business portion would not be. That you would then be referred over to SBA for that. But FEMA would still help you with the other portion of your home.
Right. Okay.
And
Okay.
then another question that I was going to ask, and then one of the attendees actually just asked too. A lot of people were evacuated from their home for anywhere from 10 days to 6 weeks who did not actually lose their homes. Are they eligible for a loan to help with the expenses that were incurred with having to be evacuated, or people who had smoke damage but did not actually have their home destroyed? Are they eligible?
Yeah, we don't do loans for things like that. That's where FEMA comes in. They need to register with FEMA and explain that to FEMA what they did when they had to evacuate. SBA, though, would provide a loan or offer a loan for the smoke damage, Wendy, of the home. Okay, but evacuations go to FEMA. They cover that. The first initial response is what FEMA's there for, and they can help with that. SBA would help with the smoke damage, though.
Great.
Okay, what about expenses related to not having potable water? Would that fall under
That would also,
smoke damages or FEMA?
yeah, well, that would go with FEMA, not having potable water, okay? But if it's a damage to the primary residence or the primary business, SBA can come in and offer a low interest loan for that as well.
Yeah, the water is an interesting puzzle because insurance doesn't cover you for living somewhere else because you don't have water, but some people can't live at home without good water for health reasons or whatnot. So you're saying that if they decide to live somewhere else until the water's available, that might be covered by the SBA loan or FEMA?
No, SBA would not cover that. Maggie, what they need to do is register with FEMA,
FEMA, okay.
disasterassistance.gov, and FEMA can make adjustments to their living for that. They may be able to put them up in a hotel or some other type of residence or living arrangement.
But not reimbursement.
FEMA would help with that.
But not a reimbursement for a place that you pick on your own.
Register with FEMA and they'll help you with that. I don't know how they would do that, but that's the thing with that. FEMA's primary goal, Maggie and Wendy, is to make folks safe and sanitary again, right after the disaster. If it's not safe or sanitary to live in their primary residence, FEMA can make arrangements for them to go someplace else.
Right. That's
the key point, though, is to register with FEMA, and I'll give you the web address here real quick. Disaster, DISASTER, assistance.gov, or here's the 800 number, 800-621-3362. So the first thing they should do is register with FEMA, and that opens the door to all the federal programs. And then once they register with FEMA, they can say, hey, I don't have potable water in my home. I can't live here. FEMA will take that into consideration and begin helping them.
okay, good. Yeah, it's
Right.
so
Did
confusing.
you get the 800 number?
I don't think,
800-6.
Wendy, can you type it in? Because my
I'm working on it. What do you, 800?
800-621-3362.
And that's to register with FEMA?
Right. And Wendy, let me tell you something. And it's just this. Okay, I just sent to you, Wendy, disasterassistance.gov. And I see up there you put FEMA disaster assistance, even though I see a little space, but if they just put disasterassistance.gov, that will get them there.
Got
All
it.
right, I don't, I'm not trying to be weird, but it's just, yeah, I wanted to go straight there. But yeah, if they register with FEMA first, and that opens up the door to all the federal programs, not only FEMA, but SBA, EPA, HUD, all these programs will then become eligible to these folks. And that's where they can say, as I mentioned to Maggie, if they don't have potable water, FEMA will take immediate action to get them out of there, because that's not sanitary to be in a primary residence without potable water.
Yeah, that's going to be a long-term problem in our local area, because some of the water companies' equipment was destroyed. Over $10 million of equipment was destroyed. So for some areas, it could be up to a year. So
Yeah, we just had somebody call in. They were from a homeowners association, Maggie, and they wanted to know if they could get SBA disaster assistance, and they can because they're a HOA, but they own their own water. Brazen Creek or something like that. They own their own water system, and so they would be eligible for a low interest because they're a private nonprofit. But yeah, there's a lot of water problems in Santa Cruz.
okay, I've got it. I've got one. My husband, being the engineer, wants to buy a fancy water filtration system to filter the benzene out of our water, which is why we're not supposed to drink or boil our water. And the water company is giving us free bottled water, but it could be a while. So could we use the loan to help with that? Or because it's clean, it's health and safety. So we should probably register with FEMA. I'm learning.
FEMA may be able to get it for you, give you some grant money for it.
Yeah, so we should register with FEMA. And then
FEMA right away. Yeah, they could
pay.
probably give you some grant money for it.
That would be really cool, because they're expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're up to $1,000 to get a home filtration system, but
I would register with FEMA today if you can, Maggie.
Yeah, good idea. Thanks. All right, so do you have any other questions, or did you want to go over anything else?
No, that's it. I went over your questions. I did the PowerPoint, and the plan was then I'll take questions from Wendy. So anything else, or anybody else have anything?
Anybody else? Here's your last chance. I think we've covered everything that came in through the Q&A and chat.
Okay,
That was mostly about the HOA questions. I think you've done a really good job covering everything else.
Yeah. So the thing I'm going to leave you with then is to register today for everyone on the line and all your friends. One of the things I mentioned to Maggie before, I don't know if you're on, Wendy, I'm going to be addressing the Board of Supervisors in Santa Cruz on Tuesday. And one of the things they didn't know was everybody in Santa Cruz County should register with FEMA. Every business, every individual, because everybody's eligible. Let FEMA or SBA determine if you've have any disaster damage. And the folks at the Santa Cruz, the department heads weren't even aware of that. So they know that now. So I'm telling you guys, register, and then get involved, and you get grants, low interest loans. HUD will help, EPA will come out and help, anything like that.
Okay, great. And someone asked if they could get a copy of the slides emailed to them. So yes, if you want me to email them to you, just send me an email, maggiebarr@kw.com. And also on the Facebook page for this event where we were promoting the event, I'm going to add a link to this video so that you can watch the video or share it with your friends. And then on that Facebook page, I'll also put a link to a Google Drive page with the slides on there so that you can access the slides as well. Yep, this recording of the Zoom will be posted. And the link will be on YouTube too. I've started, instead of using Zoom to host the recordings, which gets pricey after a while, I've figured out a way to share these recordings on YouTube so that you don't have to have a password, and it's a lot easier to share around with your friends on Facebook and that sort of thing. So keep that'll take a while. It takes a while for the file to be processed, so a few hours before that'll show up on the Facebook page. But you can also email me directly if you want more information about the YouTube or anything else. Okay, well, I think that's it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. Thank you, Kevin. This was a lot of really amazing information that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with, and I think it's going to help people a lot.
And Kevin,
Wendy or Maggie has my email.
I was going to.
So Kevin, any questions, just give me a holler.
Right.
And Kevin, you're going to be presenting to the Board of Supervisors too, you said on Tuesday, is that right?
9 a.m. And FEMA will be there as well. So if you guys want to listen in, I'm going to send you the link, Maggie.
Okay.
But then you'll hear the FEMA programs.
Okay, good. So I'll share that link also on the Facebook page so that you can watch the Board of Supervisors meeting live where both Kevin and FEMA will be presenting there. And so I'm sure they'll get questions as well.
Yeah, and there'll be public assistance folks as well, Maggie.
Oh, good. Okay, great. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Kevin. We're going to sign off and we'll be seeing you
Hey,
soon.
Maggie, thanks,
All right.
Wendy.
Thanks, guys. Bye.